Hi there. So it's me, Kate, and I am going to tell a story that I have had on my mind and I've been thinking about quite a bit in the last few days. But clearly, it's a story that's been in my body for many years and in my subconscious for many years. So I've been carrying it with me, as we all do, the things that happen to us, the growing up that happens to us, all of the confusion and expectations and changes and surprises and wonderments and just everything that happens to us along the way that often we forget in our day to day or aren't, really thinking about or working through. But these things do affect us. They affect how we move through the world. They affect our relationships. They certainly affect how we feel about ourselves and feel about the world. So this story for me begins in August between my 6th grade and my 7th grade years at school. Now, where I lived in a very small, tiny town of 500 people in Illinois, in the northern region on the border with Wisconsin, the 6th grade was the mark of the end of our, I guess it was middle school. We called it middle school. We were in the elementary school. And the 7th grade, we were about to transition into the high school building. Our junior high, 7th and 8th grade, shared the building with the high schoolers. So it was a very big deal. It was very exciting. I remember getting my PE suit uniform, and this was the first time we actually had a uniform we had to change into for PE. And I remember getting it, and as embarrassing as it is, I just remember I would wear it in the summer. Not a lot, but I wore it a couple of times, and I remember being out in my front yard playing and, just on the cusp of this brilliant thing that, I don't know, I thought I was crossing this bridge into this new land, which I really was. But the dichotomy of being, quite honestly, a young little girl playing in her front yard, but wearing her soon to be applied to 7th grade in the high school gym suit while doing so, it must be rather strange. It must have been rather strange for anyone who might have caught a glimpse of that. But in any case, that was just where I was. I was on that cusp, right, of becoming something new, growing up, being with the big kids. Now, I was the youngest of 5. I am the youngest of 5. Had 3 older sisters and an older brother. And for me, growing up was a very, very big deal because I always looked up to them and wanted to be like them and be able to do the things that they were able to do. I was 4 years behind my nearest sibling, which was my brother. I was really kind of swinging out in left field on my own a bit in regards to what I was experiencing growing up and the time frame I was in. So this particular August day, I was going to my friend's birthday sleepover and was very excited about this. And I packed my bag and I was walking across town, which is not a big deal. It took like 5 minutes. And I got to my friend's house and had a great time. But I also was feeling this very odd sensation. I was a little kind of ooey gooey in my head. I was a little feeling otherworldly, like my head was off somewhere else. Had some twinges in my belly. I wasn't feeling so great, but I was able to have a great time, and I did. And we slept over. I got up the next morning, but I was feeling worse. I took my things home, went home, was there coming up upon our porch, and my mom was out on the porch visiting with one of our next door neighbors, which was a very common thing that happened where I grew up. And they were having a conversation, and the front porch had a window at the back of it, and that window was into the bathroom, the kids' bathroom, as it was called. And I went in to go to the bathroom, and I found that I was bleeding. I had gotten my period. It was the first time. I hadn't had that before, and it took my breath away. It would have been similar to like one of us at any point in age in our life, suddenly going into the bathroom and, I don't know, finding, a menagerie of animals between your legs. I mean, it was really shocking and strange and unexpected. And yet I instantly felt something magical had just happened. Something really important had just happened to me. And I felt that this inducted me surely into a new club, into a new place of belonging, into the secret society where my sisters already belonged with my mother. And perhaps just maybe I would finally feel like I too was one of the girls, and I too would be on the inside of, the secrets and the important conversations that my mother and my sisters always seemed to have. So this was very exciting on a certain level. I don't remember feeling scared. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel like it was a curse. I felt it was a very significant and important moment that had just happened to me, that somehow my life on this planet as a human, as a girl, becoming a woman, that surely this was an inside track of some kind of information that I would now have access to, and that maybe, just maybe, I would start feeling something different, something better, something more sure of myself. So I could hear my mother's voice along with her neighbor through the window, having some kind of, conversation. I don't know. It could have been about a pie recipe. It could have been about a neighbor down the street. It could have been about the, seeds that our neighbor's husband John was about to plant. Some day-to-day things that were very practical, that were very, in my young mind, unimportant, considering what had just happened to my body. And I took a big breath. I wasn't sure what to do. Nobody had prepared me for that moment. Nobody had said, this is what you're going to do when this happens. And no one had shown me what was to happen and how to take care of myself. But I went out onto the front porch on that August hot summer day, the sun bright and shining, everything looking normal, except kind of not now for me, because I was changed. And I went out and I whispered to my mother, I think I just got my period. And, even that, I think I just got my period. I wasn't entirely sure, or else I was dying. But, the youth in that, the young perspective, the unknowing, the naivete in that. And I was sure that my mother would send the neighbor home, would jump up and say, oh, come. Let's go talk about this. Let me show you what comes next. I was sure that I was going to be whisked into the next area of, my becoming. What was to happen next, and where were we to go? Where's the secret room that I'm about to be informed about? And, when are these quiet whispering conversations going to start with my mother? And she said to me, go get your sister. She'll help you. And she stayed sitting on the bench, on the porch, and continued to talk to our neighbor about something mundane. My heart fell, but maybe my sister held the answer. Maybe she was the one that was going to take me into this next room of experience of womanhood and spill forth all the details. So I got my sister, and she went into the bathroom with me and out from under the sink took out a box of tampons, and she showed it to me and said, "This is what you do." And then she left. And so, for the first time ever in my life, I did what I needed to do to stem the bleeding. And with my crampy belly and my head that held no crown, that I certainly was expecting to have placed upon my head with this new incarnation of self, I went back outside and I looked at my mother and she said, "You should go ride your bike. Get some exercise." And she wasn't wrong. I mean, certainly exercise helps, dispel the pain a bit, gets things moving, gets some oxygen to your body. And so I did go and ride my bike, thinking that it's very odd that when you become a woman, they send you off on your own, alone, with this big secret, with this big change. And it was very clear to me, that message that was driven home in the nonchalance of my body beginning to bleed. And that is that the magic, the power, the profundity of a woman's body and all that happens to us just doesn't really fucking matter in the world.